UFO sightings have long been embedded in myth. Average people and scientists alike question the possibility that extraterrestrial objects orbit the Earth's atmosphere so closely that we are able to spot them with the naked eye. Of course, there are avid believers, people who think that extraterrestrial life not only exists, but is likely a lot closer to us than we might imagine. In this case, seeing is believing, as there have been numerous photographed accounts of UFOs flying around. Non-believers might suggest that these photos have been doctored for the sake of conspiracy. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 space mysteries. Vladimir Kovalov witnesses a UFO explosion. Vladimir Kovalov, a Russian cosmonaut and Air Force general, claimed to have seen a UFO on a space expedition on May 5, 1981. He is not the first cosmonaut to have seen a UFO. In fact, there are multiple space explorers who have reported seeing UFOs traveling extremely fast through space. So if there are multiple people who travel into space and see UFOs with their very own eyes, how can we cease to hear about it? There is a simple explanation. Nobody believes them. UFOs have been so mystified in Hollywood and in the media that we believe a UFO must be accompanied by a small green alien. And even more, the presence of such UFOs and aliens must entail some kind of abduction. Of course, most of the space explorers don't ever claim to be seeing aliens or even conclude that the UFO is filled with aliens. They simply report seeing an unidentified flying object. Vladimir Kovalyov's UFO sighting was a bit different. As his spacecraft flew across Africa towards the Indian Ocean, he reported seeing a disc-shaped object surrounded by fog in the shape of a cone. This object was flying near him when suddenly it changed directions, exploded, and then exploded again. Kovalyov reports seeing 2 different explosions, one after the other, resulting in 2 spherical figures of gold and white smoke. The white smoke, he said, seemed to be holding the 2 objects together. Soon the mysterious flying object he saw disappeared under the Earth's shadow and he never saw it again. Kovalyov is adamant that the spacecraft he saw explode and disappear was controlled by intelligent life. Although he didn't report seeing any little green aliens, he stands by the fact that something was controlling the spacecraft he saw. His reports were not completely dismissed in Russia. Kovalyov was a prestigious cosmonaut who spent 216 days total in space over the course of 3 different space missions. He was an extremely brave and intelligent asset to the Russian Space Force, and his legacy as a space explorer continues today. The Vela Incident. The Vela satellite is located near the Prince Edward Islands in the Indian Ocean. It was constructed as a reaction to the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, which ensured that nuclear reactors or explosions could not be tested anywhere due to the deadly and detrimental effects of nuclear energy. The Vela satellite is able to detect nuclear explosions and send signals to intelligence agencies to warn them of the presence of dangerous and illegal nuclear energy. The Vela satellite is equipped with technology that can detect X-rays, neutrons and gamma rays by using bang meter sensors. It is an extremely advanced piece of technology and essential for both human and environmental safety. On September 22, 1979, the Vela satellite detected the infamous double flash indicating that a nuclear explosion had occurred. This detection on the satellite is now commonly known as the South Atlantic Flash. The flash lit up the sky not only once, but twice and was remarked as an incredible natural event. However, the true cause of the double flash remains a mystery. The United States and other countries alike predicted that the Vela satellite flash might have occurred due to natural phenomenon such as a meteor crash or lightning strike. To investigate this further, meteorological technology was introduced into study but was unable to detect whether nature was responsible for this. This technology was unable to prove the exact cause for the detonation. However, it did show that a wind had occurred over the southern Indian Ocean that might have carried nuclear explosive radiation or chemicals to certain parts of Australia. After an investigation from the United States Department of Defense within the Indian Ocean and surrounding countries, they predicted that it is possible that a nuclear test had occurred within the region of South Africa or Israel, but there was not enough evidence to conclude that a nuclear threat was present. There are several conspiracies as to why the Vela satellite detected a nuclear explosion. Investigators believe that the United States might be covering up the reality that Israel and South Africa might have access to nuclear power and that they might be working together to create nuclear weapons. These same investigators claim to have evidence that the United States Department of Defense came across conclusive evidence that a nuclear explosion from these regions really did occur, but that they chose to ignore it, to not draw attention to their international conflicts with the region. Recognizing that Israel and South Africa might share in nuclear power is a dangerous idea for the United States. There are certain ulterior motives for the United States to disguise this information from the general public. However, upon further investigation into South Africa's nuclear power industry, officials believe that the South African government could not have made such a powerful nuclear explosive within the time frame that it went off because their access to nuclear power at the time was limited. South Africa was also a part of the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. Because of this, they allowed foreign parties to view their classified documents revealing the kind of nuclear access they had. Because South Africa seems clean on its own, it gives precedent to the possibility that they collaborated with Israel to test this nuclear explosive. The United States has yet to confirm or deny this possibility. Gordon Cooper sees a UFO. Gordon Cooper lived an esteemed life as an aerospace engineer, United States Air Force pilot, and eventual astronaut. Cooper fought in World War II and was so impressive that the United States gave him the opportunity to travel into space. While Cooper was an amazing astronaut who broke records for the fastest journey from the Earth to the Moon and back, and who was also the first astronaut to spend an entire day and night in space, his legacy is somewhat controversial. Like many other space cadets, Cooper had been a pilot his entire life and was extremely familiar with aerospace science. His credentials as an aerospace engineer and fighter pilot proved that he was a man of science and discipline. So, when he wrote his memoir detailing his experience with UFOs, his readers were perplexed. How could this man, who has such a firm grip on practical science, be so convinced that he has seen signs of alien life? Though some people lost faith in his credibility, Cooper still gained a following of people who agreed that extraterrestrial life not only exists, but that it makes its way into the Earth's atmosphere more often than we thought. Cooper's first UFO sighting happened while he was flying over Germany post-World War II. While he and his crew were setting up a landing space for aircrafts atop a dry lake, an uninvited disc-like aircraft landed about 50 yards from the crew members. Because of its mysterious arrival, the men were conflicted whether they should approach the aircraft or call in for backup. Eventually, they moved towards it while snapping pictures of it. They recall the aircraft being completely silent as it landed and took off again. It had extended its legs when landing and recalled them as it rose back into the sky. Once it was back in the air, they never saw it again. Immediately after, Cooper called his contact at the Pentagon, where he was instructed to send the photos of the mysterious aircraft to the intelligence agency. Cooper looked at the photos himself before sending them in to ensure that they represented exactly what he saw with his own eyes. He reported that the photos were in great condition and that the aircraft was clearly visible. After a long while of waiting for a response from the Pentagon, Cooper grew suspicious that there would be no follow-up and that the Pentagon had ulterior motives to cover this up. Even without acknowledging that this aircraft was indeed an extraterrestrial UFO, the Pentagon had plenty of reason to launch an investigation because an unmarked vessel entered a classified and secured military location. After this, Cooper began to write down his experience seeing the UFO in great detail, which eventually played a huge role in his published memoir. Cooper lost a great deal of military and scientific credibility when he reported his findings to America, as people began to see him as a bit crazy. He was known to publicly taunt and discredit the Pentagon because he believed that they knew more about UFOs than they revealed to the general public, and that the secrets they are harboring would be very detrimental to space exploration and military intelligence. But what do you make of these bizarre space mysteries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.